This is True Consequences, a true crime and mystery podcast with stories based in New Mexico in the American Desert Southwest. Welcome back to True Consequences. I'm your host, Eric Carter-Landin. Before we get started on the episode, I have a couple of things I want to say. First of all, I want to thank all of my listeners because your support means everything to me. The feedback that I've received has been mostly positive. I'm just really happy to be able to provide this content for you and really focus on New Mexico and its issues. I am so grateful that you have been with me on this journey, and I look forward to many more seasons with you. With that being said, this is the last episode of season 1, but don't worry, there will be some additional bonus episodes that come out between season 1 and 2. I don't quite yet have a release date for season 2, but I am currently working on that content, and I'm looking forward to having that ready for you sometime this year. I also want to say thank you to all the patrons. You have helped make the cost of this project a little bit more easy to manage for me. I appreciate that, as I am covering all of this out of my own pocket. You folks are just amazing and incredible, and I, again, can't thank my listeners and my patrons enough. I started this project because I really wanted to give a voice to people who find themselves in a situation similar to mine, where their family may be victims of crime, and they may not have a voice. Whether their crime is solved or unsolved, I wanted to give people a voice, and I have put my heart and soul into this project. I believe strongly that we can only really be as strong as we are together, so your support means everything to me. And I know that I haven't been perfect in this journey. I've learned a lot along the way about audio quality and sound production, and I still have lots more to learn. So I appreciate you bearing with me through the rough few episodes in the beginning and the sound issues and everything that I've had to kind of overcome. I really appreciate that. Thanks for not giving up on me, and thanks for not giving up on this show. Again, I want to remind everybody to subscribe, rate, and review wherever you listen to podcasts. That really helps me find new listeners and give people an idea of what to expect when listening to True Consequences. If you're not following me on social media, you can find me at True Consequences Pod on Instagram and Facebook, and at True Cons Pod on Twitter. For more information on this case and all my other cases, you can go to trueconsequences.com. And also go to YouTube and subscribe to the YouTube channel. I don't yet have videos, although all the episodes of this season are on YouTube. For those of you that are patrons, and for those of you interested in becoming a patron, season 2 episodes will be put up there really early this time, much earlier than the release date of the actual season episodes. So if you're interested, or if you've binged all of season 1 and you're looking for additional episodes, they will be on Patreon much earlier than the season release. So I want to let everybody know that as well. All right, so let's talk about this week's episode. This week we're discussing the unsolved murder of Fritz Vialpando III. Fritz was a young man. He was 20 years old when he was murdered on the 4th of July in 1987. And his murder still remains unsolved to this day. His family is, of course, seeking justice and looking for some kind of resolution to this horrible tragedy that happened to them. By all accounts, Fritz was a gregarious and loving and kind young man who really didn't deserve what happened to him. I sat down with Denise Vialpando, Fritz's older sister, and she was able to tell her story. Because this is still an open investigation, even though it's a cold case, there's a lot of details that she was not able to share, information about the case, information about suspects that we were not able to discuss. However, there is a lot of information available online. I encourage you to do some research on this case. If you or somebody you know knows something about this case, please reach out to law enforcement or the district attorney in Taos County. This happened in Cuesta, New Mexico. And for those of you not familiar, Cuesta is a very small town. I think it's somewhere around 1,700 people. It's just north of Taos, New Mexico, and it's in the mountains of the Sangre de Cristos. The town itself actually sits near the place where Red River and the Rio Grande meet. It's a beautiful area, very small town, and it's hard to believe that this has gone on for so long without any justice. So without further ado, let's listen to Denise discuss her brother's case.
Hi, my name is Denise Vialpando.
Denise, thanks for coming today, and thanks for agreeing to be interviewed. If you're okay with it, I'd like you to start just telling me about your brother, who he was, and what you remember about him.
What I remember about him the most is his personality.
What was his name?
His name is Fritz Vialpando III. He was the youngest of the family. He was funny. He was smart. He was caring. If you felt sad, he truly would be the one to bring you back up. He was very caring. He had a lot of friends.
And you guys grew up in Cuesta?
Yes. We moved to Cuesta probably when he was about 2 years old. And our parents decided that they wanted to live in a small community where the rest of the other family, were, so that way we could be close with them, our grandparents. Plus, my dad wanted to make sure that we grew up in an area that was safe. Since he grew up in Denver, and he lived a little bit on the rough side, but
sure.
He loved his family so much he was willing to make that move for us. And we grew up there. We knew everybody. Everybody knows everybody. Everybody knows everybody's business. What you know how that is with a small town. And so, going back to Fritz, he actually, at that time, he lived in Arizona. And it was the 4th of July. He decided, I'm going to come down. I lived in Albuquerque. My older brother, Beto, lived in Arizona. We all decided to come to Cuesta. Beto was the only one that wasn't able to make it. And so I met up with my brother, Fritz, in Cuesta, along with his wife, Henrietta, at the time, and my ex-husband, Lauren. So we got together with a family. We all enjoyed it up in Cabresto. We had like a family picnic, all the fun that you do when you get together during holidays. Actually, we didn't know that it was probably going to be the worst day of our life.
What year was this?
This was in 1987.
And how old was Fritz?
Fritz was 20 years old.
Okay.
He was looking forward to his birthday, which it was September 9th. And so we were at that time planning what we were going to do. When he came down, we talked about his birthday. We got together, enjoyed the whole day.
So you guys were hanging out as a family for 4th of July?
Yes, we were hanging around,
and
hanging
then
out.
It turned into a horrible day.
It certainly did. Me and him, his wife, and my ex-husband, we went for a ride. We went back into town, our little town, Cuesta. And at this point, I can't remember how we landed up at the Gomez's garage in Cerro. And there was a couple of guys playing the guitar and the drums. And there was also two other girls that were there, which was one of the owner's daughter and her friend. And also a cousin of mine showed up with her boyfriend. And, we were there for a little while. It was uncomfortable for me only because they were not the normal group of people that we hung out with.
Sure.
except for just, my cousin and her. Just my cousin, actually. And from that point, we just stuck around for a little while. And we got invited to go to this family reunion that was going on, that evening by Mr. Gomez. So at that point, we were undecided. Should we go? Should we not go? I decided not to go at that time. My son was very young. So I went home to be with my son so we could watch the display of fireworks. Mm-hmm. And that evening turned out to be a total nightmare. My brother was shot. And we landed up at Holy Cross Hospital. At that point, we had to wait for an airlift to Albuquerque. It seemed like a lifetime by the time the helicopter got there. At that point, my family, we all met at Holy Cross Hospital. And then we landed up driving to Albuquerque. And when we got there, they told us he had passed away on the way. So that was devastating.
Yeah, I can't imagine how shocking that must have been.
Very. Didn't expect it to be as serious as, we thought. You don't think, you think, well, maybe he got shot on the arm or the shoulder or something, you just don't think a close range gunshot. Somebody intended to do harm. Yeah. That's what they did.
And this was at the reunion?
Yes, it was at the Vialpando family reunion.
So somebody just shows up and shot him?
The person or persons that did this were actually there.
So they were involved in the celebration? Or they were invited, let's say?
They were invited, yeah.
Okay. Was he the person that they intended to harm?
Most definitely.
So, I don't know if you can answer this question. Why would somebody want to hurt your brother?
That is something we still ask ourselves today, because he was such a good person.
Yeah.
If you knew him, he would literally give his shirt to you if you needed it. He would do anything for you. It took a lot to get him upset over anything. He wasn't the type of person that would lose his mind over anything. He was just an all-around good guy. He's had a lot of friends, we just don't know.
Was anybody else hurt at that party?
No, nobody else was hurt. You hear a bunch of stories of what happened, how it happened.
Right. Typical small town.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds like he was targeted.
I think he was. I really do.
And that's, to me, I mean, as an outsider, it seems really strange because he wasn't even living there at the time.
Right. No, he was he was actually in Arizona.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I know you can't talk probably a lot about the specifics of the investigation, but obviously it's 2020 now, and from what I understand, there's still no convictions, there's no charges, there's nothing that's really developed. It's still quote-unquote unsolved.
Correct.
What do you think has gone wrong?
What I think has gone wrong since it happened, I honestly believe politics were involved. Mm-hmm. So a lot of things just got pushed around, shoved under the rug, so to speak.
Sure.
I mean, you don't want to believe it, but there's a lot of cover-up. There's a lot of people out there that know, and I wish they would come out and just say what they know, because that would help a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know how people could live with anything like that.
Right.
It makes me feel like they also pulled that trigger.
Sure.
That's how I honestly feel. And I'm not afraid to say it. I have no reason to be. I'm just like any other human being. I have feelings, and we just want them to do the right thing. That's all we ask for.
Well, and you're on the side of looking for justice.
Definitely.
And that's, in my opinion, that's the right side to be on.
It is.
There's
definitely.
no question about it. The truth is the truth. And justice is justice.
Right.
And no matter what you think or believe or feel, that's the only thing that matters.
Right.
And so, obviously there were other people at that party.
Oh, yeah. There was over 100 people at that family reunion.
So, somebody, definitely multiple people saw what happened.
Definitely. And even the person themselves have mentioned stuff that has come back to us. And, all you want is for them to pay for what they did.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I do. I 100% understand, It's not fair that people who cause harm to other people are able to just be free.
Right. It's not fair. And everybody else that is involved by covering all this up, I think a lot of times I feel like, gee, they should be charged just as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I definitely understand what you're saying. I can definitely agree with you and wish that there were laws. And I think there are, like obstruction of justice kind of laws that happen.
Right.
And it's hard to imagine that with all of the witnesses that were there that, nothing has been done.
exactly. And going back and forth with attorneys that have come and gone, we've heard different things. We go back to them, tell them about it, and the names of people that we know that know stuff and, know information that we wish they would go and question these people.
Sure.
Of course, they're going to tell you what you want to hear, but it doesn't happen. And all you want is for them to work on it, you know? That's all you want is for them to work on it. Because there's a lot more that I know that I can't say, and I wish I could.
Right.
Because I would.
Yeah. It's a terrible place to be as a family member who just watches time pass by with nothing happening. I completely understand. I'm in the same boat. Before we actually started rolling on this, we talked about how, our brothers both died in the same year.
Right.
And we both are still seeking justice.
Yes.
What do you want to say to the people who know something and have not come forward?
First of all, what I would like to say is set your soul free. I mean, how can you live with this for so long? Watch your children grow up. Watch your children become parents. How can you look at them honestly and know what you know in the back of your mind? And also, for those that have mentioned stuff but don't go to the authorities, don't think that your conscience is free. I'm sure it still bothers you because it's not doing any good if you don't tell somebody that can do something about it.
Right. What would you like to say to the state, to the district attorneys, to lawmakers?
There's some of them that didn't care at all. They were rude. If you hear anything, come back and let us know. And there's those ones that, they cared, but they also feel like their hands are tied, so to speak. Right now, we're at the time where they're going to vote for a new district attorney. I don't know how that's going to turn out.
So they're going to be voting for a new district attorney now. So now you have right now you're in the middle of there's somebody filling in.
Right.
So something happened where the other one couldn't fulfill his term or her term. He
He
retired.
retired.
And now they're going to probably have an election in November, with the general election probably.
Yes.
And do you know who's running?
There's a.
The Marky Montoya is the.
I know there's a Marky Montoya.
And then Paul Sanchez.
Paul Sanchez.
Is running against him.
So I think
Two that I know. I don't know if there's any others.
Well, I think it's important for anybody who takes that office to remember that they're elected by the people, and
Definitely.
that their job is to serve the people and to provide justice.
Correct.
For the people. And even though this case is over 30 years old, doesn't mean that it's any less important.
Exactly. That's how I feel. I feel like it happened yesterday.
Yeah.
The days don't change. It just feels like it just repeats itself.
Sure.
And so you feel like, hey, what about my brother? You need to look into this. He needs justice, just like anybody else would want justice for their child, their brother, their sister, their grandparent, their family member. And that's what we want.
He didn't deserve.
Definitely did not deserve that. No.
I would argue that, most people don't deserve.
Exactly.
And they don't deserve to be forgotten.
No, not at all. I mean, he was shot at close range at the back of his head. And to me, that means that they intended to hurt him.
Yeah.
That was their plan.
They wanted him dead.
It wasn't an accident.
Yeah.
You don't have an accident like that.
You don't shoot somebody in the back of the head without expecting them to die. Is there anything that you think that not just the community of Cuesta, but maybe the community of New Mexico as a whole can do, not just for Fritz, but for the countless other victims that are waiting for justice? Is there anything that you think that we as New Mexicans need to do better?
I think they need to not give up so quickly.
Mm-hmm.
They need to investigate people more thoroughly, instead of it just seems like it ended so quick, the investigation. It just ends so fast. And then if there's nothing, they expect the family members or friends or whoever to go to them instead of them going out there and doing the work that needs to be done. Mm-hmm. I think they need to push for more investigating.
I think that's a good point. And I think the other piece of it too is if you're listening to this right now and you are from the area of Cuesta or the surrounding area, Taos, anywhere up there in northern New Mexico, and you know something, please, please, please go to the police. Go to the district attorney, tell them what happened. Fritz's family has been waiting a very long time, an unreasonably long time, to get some justice in this situation. And for there to be 100 people plus that witnessed this, it makes no sense that there's nobody willing to come forward and say what happened. And it makes no sense that maybe if there were people that came forward, why wouldn't there be some prosecution? That also makes no sense. So, I definitely encourage, you in New Mexico, our listeners, to, be aware. If there's something that please share it. If you want to reach out to me, that's fine. But I would definitely encourage you to go to law enforcement and go to the district attorney and share what you know, because it's not fair. It's not fair to make your family wait.
Correct. Right. since it was a family reunion, there's a lot of people from California, Colorado, Arizona, and even here in Albuquerque.
So there might be people all over the place that know something.
Right. Definitely.
So I know you have an Instagram page for your brother.
I do.
Do you want to give that the name of your page out, just in case people want to follow what's going on?
Sure.
So on Instagram, you can find Denise there. Lots of pictures of your brother, a lot of information there that, so if you're a listener to the show, go follow. Go ahead.
It's Frtz Vial 87.
Frtz Vial 87. Okay. So go follow that Instagram page. Stay in touch with Denise. If you have a tip, you can reach out to Denise. You can call law enforcement. But let's see what we can do to bring some awareness to this case and to bring some justice to this family, because it's long overdue. It's long overdue. Anything else you want to say to my listeners before we wrap up?
My family and I have been waiting for so long, for so many years, for justice. And we know that you would do the same if it was your family.
I think it's really important, especially for the people that were there, to remember that we're talking about a human life that was connected to so many other lives and had an impact on so many other lives. And withholding information is, in my opinion, one of the worst things that somebody could do. I would say that it's right up there with pulling the trigger.
That's exactly how I feel. And it's not good to feel like that. It's just very hard it's very hard for us as growing up there, living there for so many years, and then for something like that to happen. I want to thank you, Eric, for your support. It means a lot to us. And, hopefully somebody will call, message, something.
Yeah.
There's so much more to this story that, it's hard to say enough.
Sure.
That will get people to listen. I want them to listen. I want them to know how it is.
Yeah. Well, I think there's information available online. People can research his case.
Right.
I don't think this has been one of those cases that's gotten a lot of attention, like nationally, like some of the other cases that we have here. So I felt it was really important to highlight it, because I want your family to be able to be heard.
Thank you.
And, my show isn't a giant, massive show, but if maybe one person that knows something hears it, or one person who knows somebody that knows something hears it,
Right.
People need to be held accountable. And not just the people that were responsible, but the people that have failed your family and have failed to bring justice. They should also be held accountable, in my opinion.
I agree.
Yeah. So, thank you for your time, and I know this was hard for you, but I appreciate your courage, and I appreciate your willingness to talk on my show and share your story. And if anybody wants to reach out to you, Instagram is definitely a good way to reach you, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Eric.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Thanks again for listening to True Consequences. Follow us on social media, on Instagram and Facebook at True Consequences Pod, and on Twitter at TrueConsPod. True Consequences is hosted, written, and produced by me, your host, Eric Carter-Landin. Thanks for listening, and stay safe, New Mexico.